Hello and welcome to You've Seen It Before, movie reviews with connections in mind, and welcome back to another installment in my reaction series to each and every episode of Season 1 of Star Trek Picard. Now, if you haven't seen any of my other reaction episodes up until this point, this is just my short-form reaction series where I give my brief thoughts on the episode, brief recap of the episode, my brief thoughts on it, what I thought worked, what I thought didn't work about the episode, as well as certain analysis on plot developments and character arcs that may seem familiar to you and where you may have seen them before. Now, just to get this out of the way, this will be a full spoiler review of this episode. So if you've not seen the latest episode of Star Trek Picard yet and want to wait until you have, stop the video at this point and come back later. But with this in mind, let's get into Star Trek Picard Season 1, Episode 9, which is entitled Et in Arcadia Ego, Part 1. The episode picks up where the Picard, Soji, and crew have gone through the Borg transwarp conduits to Soji's home planet. The planet, the name has a weird name that the homeland of the synthetics, where Bruce Maddox went after the ban. He created a whole lot of synthetic life. However, Narek, the Romulan, the spy slash former ex of Soji, followed them through. So he's in orbit, as well as Seven, Elnor, and the XBs have hijacked the artifact, the abandoned Borg cube, and also reached the planet. So all three of these paths have now come together on this planet where Picard has returned Soji to her people, these synthetic life forms. We also get a more glimpse into what was implied that Soji would become the destroyer. One of the synthetic life forms gets who is a student of Vulcan mind techniques, melds with Agnes, who had seen the admonition, and gleans a different meaning from it. And from it, it is determined by this society of synthetics that there is a higher order of synthetic life forms out in the universe that is waiting to respond to other so-called oppressed synthetic life, and these synthetics, under threat from a Romulan armada headed their way, see these higher synthetics as their only way out. And the catch is that these higher synthetics will obliterate all organic life and leave only the synthetics behind. So they are now an equal threat to the galaxy. That brings us to the end of part 1 of this 2-part series season finale here. What I thought worked about this episode was that it moved the plot along quite well. We got they were building up this planet of synthetic life forms throughout most of this season, and once we finally got it, it was an interesting design. It was a confined location while still being able to have a certain amount of vibrancy to its design and the various designs of the people. There's a variation of the designs, like the fact that some synthetics have Data's yellow eyes, and some of them didn't. This is showing the progress that Bruce Maddox had made along the way in his creation of these synthetics. Also, the character dynamics were come to a head in this episode between Picard and Agnes, Soji and Narek, Picard and Elnor. I mean, at this point, it's sort of tying a bow around certain things, and I think it did a good job on that front. And it did what a good part 1 should, where it set the stage fairly well to what was coming in the part 2. What I thought didn't work was that Having Brent Spiner come back as a heretofore unknown son of Dr. Noonien Soong, who he never mentioned before, which, to be fair, they've gotten away with this in the past where we had B4 as a previously unmentioned Soong android prototype, but this felt like there really wasn't any reason for it, and it was just kind of an excuse to have Brent Spiner back in the role and not as just a cameo as Data in a dream. So that could have been handled a little better, in my opinion. I mean, it was nice to see him. I think they worked it in as well as they could, but for me, that didn't quite work as well. Also, the whole concept of a synthetic life form being able to get telepathic powers, I don't care how much studying they do. That felt like a fudge of the script to me, where it's like, we have to get this information here somehow to get these plot points B, C, and D together. So how do we get from plot point A to B, C, D? Here, we'll just do this. That to me felt like it was a plot convenience rather than a very well thought out and established thing. Kind of sort of the same complaints that people have made about the Star Wars sequel trilogy, where with force powers that things got there was too much of a jump between the demonstrable force powers from the original trilogy to the prequels to the sequels. There wasn't enough evolution for a lot of them, and it just felt unearned. This is sort of the same situation, in my opinion, with this, but who cares? We've set the stage, and now we have it. So we'll have a big confrontation between these Romulans and a whole bunch of these orchid things. Who knows how they explain how they made those? I mean, does it matter how they made them? Not really, but I kind of want to know because that was just kind of odd. But it'll be interesting to see how involved 7 of 9 gets in this final episode, the upcoming final episode of the season. Overall, I mean, this episode did what a good part 1 should, in which it sets things up for the part 2 finale here. And I wouldn't be surprised to see that this is going to be like a part 1, part 2, and then part 3 is the season premiere of season 2. Also, my theory on this advanced artificial, the synthetic life form society out in the universe, I suspect they're going to make a link somehow to the advanced machine society that created V'ger from Star Trek: The Motion Picture. There have been a lot of fan theories out and about that maybe that same society also created the Borg somehow. They could go down that route with this. They have the license to do that. It'll be interesting to see if they do that going forward. So those are my main thoughts on the episode. The analysis that I was going to give for things that seem familiar. Obviously, this plot point of machines figuring out that humanity will doom them for going too smart, and they became afraid of them, and the machines have to destroy organic life. You see this plot point in films such as I, Robot to a certain extent, and The Matrix, of course, and other films, and Terminator, of course. So that's a fairly common plot point in science fiction when it comes to synthetics versus organic life and artificial life destroying organics. That's a fairly common plot point. And you see those examples, but like I said, I'm excited to see what the season finale comes. That'll be next week. So those are my thoughts on this week's episode of Picard. What did you think of the episode? Did you agree? Did you like the review, the episode? Did you not like the episode? What about my analysis? Did you agree? Did you disagree? Did I miss something? I may have missed something. Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate whatever audience I can get. Maybe it'll be a little more since we're all cooped up in our homes because of the crisis that's going on these days. Like, again, I appreciate whatever audience I can get. And if you liked any video on my channel, be it this video or any other video on my channel, please give me a like, share, and especially a subscribe. I'd very much appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. But just remember, there is nothing new under the sun. And yes, you have seen it before.